Alex, I walked into the shop this morning and the air just had that specific crispness to it, the kind that makes you want to sharpen every chisel you own just for the sake of the sound it makes against the stone. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to the TigerDen.
That's a very poetic way of saying you didn't want to actually start your client project yet. Happy Friday, Tiger. You look like you've been wrestling with something heavy.
More like something invisible. I spent 3 hours yesterday trying to figure out why my 3D printer was spitting out what looked like aggressively chewed bubblegum. Turns out, my filament had more water in it than a backyard pool. It's that spring humidity, man. It'll sneak into your shop and ruin your life before you've even finished your first coffee.
Which is actually the perfect segue into our first bit of news. Prusa just dropped this USS dry box. They're calling it museum-grade storage.
35 bucks. That's about the price of one ruined spool of high-end nylon. I've tried the cereal container hacks and the dry them in the oven method, which, by the way, is a fantastic way to make your kitchen smell like a burning Lego factory and get banned from cooking dinner for a month.
I remember that text. Alex, is it supposed to smoke? No. Tiger. No, it isn't. But seriously, $34.99 for a sealed environment? It seems like a low bar entry for something that actually works.
It's cheap insurance. When I hear museum grade, I think of those glass cases with the humidity sensors. If this keeps my exotic filaments from turning into sponges, I'll buy 5 of them. It's one of those buy once, cry once things, except at $35, you don't even really have to cry.
Speaking of things that don't make you cry, at least not anymore, Snapmaker finally opened up the Clipper code for the U1.
Just under the wire. They've been dangling that carrot for a while. For the folks who aren't software nerds, look at it this way. Imagine you bought a high-performance truck, but the factory locked the hood so you couldn't tune the engine. Snapmaker just handed us the keys to the garage. We can finally get in there and tweak the acceleration and the jerk settings to make that machine dance.
You always get that glint in your eye when things go open source. Is it because you like fixing things or because you like breaking things so you have to fix them?
It's about the soul of the tool, Alex. If I can't modify it to fit the way I work, do I really own it? Or am I just renting space in the manufacturer's ecosystem? I'd rather have a machine that's a bit messy but speaks my language.
Let's pivot to something a bit bigger than a desktop printer. I saw this Randstad report about AI. We've been hearing for 2 years that AI is going to take everyone's job, but this report says it's actually doing the opposite for tradespeople.
It's the ultimate irony, isn't it? Everyone thought the robots would take the hammers out of our hands. Turns out, the cloud is actually a giant, scorching hot building in Virginia or Arizona that needs 50 miles of copper pipe and enough electrical juice to power a small city.
The stats are wild. Between 2022 and 2026, the demand for HVAC, electricians, and welders has gone through the roof specifically because of data center infrastructure.
You can't download a cooling system. You can't prompt engineer a high voltage circuit. If you're a young person looking at the world and thinking, where do I fit? Look at critical infrastructure. If you can learn the specific intricacies of industrial scale liquid cooling or seismic rated structural welding for these server farms, you aren't just a tech. You're the person keeping the entire digital world from melting into a puddle of silicon.
So you're saying the nerds need the grease monkeys more than ever?
We are the physical layer of the internet. It doesn't matter how smart the AI is if the air conditioner dies and the chips fry. It's a great time to be someone who knows how to hold a wrench.
Speaking of being known, Forbes is opening up nominations for their top creators of 2026. Tiger, I noticed you didn't nominate yourself. Again.
Oh, come on. I'm just a guy who makes sawdust and occasionally manages to glue 2 boards together straight. I don't think Forbes is looking for a man with permanent wood glue stains on his jeans.
See, that's where you're wrong. This is about the maker-mogul side of things. In 2026, authority is currency. If you want to sell your custom furniture or your metalwork, being recognized by a platform like Forbes boosts your EAT, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. It's how the algorithms decide if you're a pro or a hobbyist.
It feels a bit like blowing your own horn, doesn't it? I've always felt that if the work is good, it should stand on its own. But I suppose in the modern world, if a tree falls in the forest and you didn't post a 4K reel of it, did it even make a sound?
Exactly. And the 2026 Instagram stats back that up. Process reels, the behind-the-scenes mess, the mistakes, the I almost dropped this moments. They're getting 3 times the engagement of the polished final product photos.
People want to see the struggle, they want to see the sweat, They want to see the part where I accidentally cut a board 2 inches short and have to do the measure twice, cry once dance. It makes the craft feel human. If it's too perfect, people assume a machine made it.
Speaking of human, let's talk about what people are actually building this weekend. I saw Jay's Cali decking video. That thing is more of a fortress than a deck.
Jay is a maniac for details, and I love him for it. If you're listening to this and you've got a deck project on the horizon, do not, I repeat, do not skimp on your joist spacing or your flashing. You might save 20 minutes now, but in 7 years, you'll be stepping through a rotten board into the dirt. Jay's techniques are the difference between I built a deck and I built a legacy.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the classic cutting board. Is it just me, or is the world finally coming back around to the end grain board?
It's a palate cleanser, Alex. After a long week of big, stressful projects with tight tolerances, there's something incredibly meditative about taking your high-quality offcuts, the bits of walnut and maple that are too pretty to throw away, and turning them into something functional. It's like a puzzle you get to eat off of.
Plus, you mentioned Estelle's demos, episode 2 of the new season.
She makes me look like a hoarder. She's doing these shop organization hacks for tiny spaces. She took a 10 by 10 shed and turned it into a professional grade studio. It's all about verticality and multi-use surfaces. I watched it and immediately felt the urge to go buy a label maker and clear out the junk corner of my shop.
The junk corner you've had since 2019?
It's an archive of potential materials, thank you very much. But Estelle has some clever tricks for tool walls that actually make sense, rather than just looking good for a photo.
So, what's the big takeaway for this Friday? We've got AI building the trades, museum-grade boxes for our plastic, and the importance of showing the messy middle of our projects.
I think it's this. Whether you're a master welder working on a data center or a hobbyist making your first cutting board, the value is in the execution. We live in a world that is becoming increasingly digital and automated, but the physical stuff, the cooling pipes, the dovetail joints, the structural steel, that's the real foundation.
And maybe the realization that it's okay to nominate yourself for an award once in a while?
Maybe, but only if I can wear my work boots to the ceremony. Look, the trades are evolving, the tools are getting smarter, but at the end of the day, it's still about having the grit to start and the patience to finish. Go build something this weekend that makes you feel a little bit out of your depth. That's where the growth is.
Well said. Where are you headed right now?
I'm going to go put my filament in a fancy box and try to convince my wife that I actually need 5 more of them.
Good luck with that. Stay gritty, everyone.
Stay creative. We'll see you in the shop.